Boeing update here on the 20th. I've had questions in the past about Boeing, and then I've been trading it a little bit. I bought at 154. I sold at 157. Not very big trade. Basically because I sold on Wednesday or Tuesday or Wednesday when Powell was getting ready to speak. Just because I didn't like the setup on very small time frames, and it did come down lower. But I just rebought at 153.50. I'm willing to risk it here because of a few different things I'll go over in this video. So, previous video, I was saying this is an A wave, B wave, looking for the C wave down, and this is a first wave down. But there's another way to look at it too, which would have pretty much the same outcome, and that is that we are in a contracting wedge. Which either way will bring this stock up to 220, 230, something like that, and then sell off after that. So it'd look like that, basically. So something to take into account. Another thing you have going for you, a few different things, are on the weekly, we're at the bottom of the range on the standard deviations, which is very bullish. And we have monthly demand between 120 and 150. So I know this stock kind of sucks right now, but it sucked right here too. It was terrible for 16 months. It was terrible. It's been bad for 9 months. So this took a year. This took about 6 months. I think we can get a run. It might come all the way down here to 145. Let me get the exact. So it could come down here to like 140, 143, potentially 143. So I'd be down $1,500 or something like that. I bought 150 shares, but I would average down there for sure. Bottom of the weekly standard deviation into monthly demand, potentially making the D wave higher, and then we would get this over the next 3 to 6 months, and you could make potentially like 50% over the next 3 to 6 months, and then it would sell off. So I gave you 3 pretty solid reasons to buy around here. I bought, and I will be eyeing this 143 level if we keep on falling, if the market falls, as a spot where I will be buying even more heavily probably. And I think there's a very good chance that this works out perfectly for a bounce up here to 220. So that is my Boeing analysis, either a contracting wedge or my original thoughts were wave 1, expanded flat like this, same outcome, like that. So that is Boeing. Let's go over a few other stocks here. Let's go over Coin. So in the previous video, I did for members only. I said that I was looking for down here, 132, maybe 121. I still think that's a very likely possibility. We'll see, but I think that this is a very good spot to buy at. So it did not get quite to this gap fill yesterday, and now we're selling off. It's down now $7 or $8 from the high. I think it's ready to come down here. Whenever we get that market correction, I think it's coming down to 120, 130, and I think that's going to be where you need to buy. So we're about at that time where you start looking for where your entries are going to be a month or two in advance. So that's where I'd be buying on Coin for potentially that. So that's Coin. Let's go over Tesla now. All right, Tesla. So we have AB. I've gone over this multiple times, but I'll go ahead and do it again. Then we get ABC. And then I think that the X wave ended right here. And then we get this move straight up. And we hit the very outside of the parallel line. So from here, there's two possibilities here. Either we topped out here and short of 245. So that could be the top of the C wave right there, and this is a first wave down. But I think what's more likely is that was the A wave, this is the B wave, and we're starting this move up. That could go into next week, like that. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm expecting something like that more than likely into next week. If I'm wrong, then you're probably looking at this as the top. And I think the first spot you'd be looking at for the move down would be down here at like 228 gap fill, 230, 228. And that would be a wave one down. So wave one here, or you're going to get the C leg up here at 250. This would be C and Y. So W, X, Y, A, B, C every time. The whole thing would be W, X, Y as well. So W, X, Y like that. Or it ended right here. That would make this an ABC move instead of a WXY. So WXY, ABC, ABC, ABC. Or we topped here. This is a first wave down. Let's zoom in here a little bit, and so it looks pretty impulsive to me. But you get this weird, this right here is kind of weird. And then you get a big sell-off. It could be an extended C wave. It could be A, B, C, big C wave like that, and now we're starting the uptrend. Or that was the top, because normally you don't go past the 1.61 fib, and then this is the first wave, because you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm kind of 50-50 here, really. I would imagine we come up here and fill the gap at 246. That's around the 0.78 fib. This looks very impulsive from the bottom, so that's a very good thing for being bullish. So I'm going to slightly lean towards the bullish possibility, but you got to be ready for this scenario for that to be the top potentially. Because if they know that everybody is trying to buy puts in here, if everyone knows about supply and demand, they could stop it short of it. Another reason, though, that I'm more bullish is the fact that the end of September is the end of the quarter, and they like to pump into the end of the quarter stocks to make themselves look better to their clients. And we have about 10 days left in that, so I won't be surprised if we get this into like Wednesday and then maybe get a sharp move out like this, maybe to like Friday, and then we come back up here like on Monday or something like that. But then you also got to factor in Robotaxi too. So maybe this will take a little bit longer. Maybe this will go all the way into the end of the month, and then they'll do something like this, and then retrace into the Robotaxi event. So it could take a little bit longer than I originally planned, just based on the fact that end of the month is 10 days away, and then we have Robotaxi on the 10th. So which one is it going to be? Is that the top right there, first wave down, or are we going to make a C wave up here at 250? I personally have some long-term calls that I bought around 238, but I also bought a put in here. In case I'm wrong, I can profit down here. And I don't care if I'm down on that put because I was planning on averaging down up here anyway. So that's the way I'm playing it when I don't really know. I kind of like scale into my position and kind of go both ways, I guess. So that is pretty much it for Tesla, Boeing, coin, Bitcoin, Symbiotic. This is retracing. Again, hopefully you watched that video where I said buy right here, because you could have made 50% in like 2 weeks. Not that most people would have held all the way up here. I mean, I took profit way early too, but look where this ended up at. Ended up at here, and look where the 1.61 fib is, right at the gap fill at 35 bucks. So this might correct for a while. This could end up doing something like this into like November or so with everything else. But I do expect this to come up here to 35 bucks at least. So probably not bad to be out of it right now. That being said, on this time frame, it does look like this could be a fourth wave. So maybe one more move higher. We'll see. I would say it probably topped out though, because it needs another 10% to get above this again. Probably topped out. So I would look for that correction. The 0.78 fib is sitting at 19 bucks. I wouldn't be surprised if it went all the way back down to 19 bucks. FedEx is selling off really hard. I drew out a few demand zones, and look where it hit. It hit this demand zone right here, filled the gap, and bounced. I don't think that's it, though. I think this might come down here to the very bottom one. They had really bad guidance between 223 and 234. This looks like a 5-wave move. So it might bounce short term, but I think it's coming down here. And it's probably going to be a long, drawn-out move. Because look at this right here. This is A, B, C, like that. So I would say if you're going to buy FedEx, you want to buy between 222 and 234. Let's look at Shopify real quick. Shopify basically went where I said it was going to go to. It went through this supply zone. I still think that this is going to correct, but maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe it will come up here to 89 bucks right away. It could turn into being some kind of wedge as well, but we'll see. Whenever the market corrects, I'm expecting this to come back down here to the low 60s. NVIDIA. So NVIDIA is just sitting here. Let's zoom in here, though. I said it was going to hit 125. And I really think that this is going to do something like that. This looks like a first wave, second wave. So I think that next week, you're probably going to see some up movement on NVIDIA. So this bull move is probably not finished. You got to really, like the fact that they want to rebalance and make themselves look good overrides pretty much everything. They do this at the end of every quarter mostly. Let's look at QQQ at the end of June and the end of March and see where it was at. So here we go. End of June. End of June, right there. It was at 487. Okay. I think like pretty much all the time, you don't ever see it at the lows at the end of. So look at that. They dumped it. The end of March, they're at the highs. They dump it right afterwards. June, right here, pretty much at the highs. They dump it right afterwards. Now we're at September. They're going to keep it around here, maybe fill this gap in September, and then probably dump it right afterwards. So it's actually pretty obvious once you look into it what they're going to do. So SPY would probably be the same thing. Kind of curious. Let's see the end of December. End of December. Yeah, remember end of December was like the high as well, and then they dumped it right afterwards. It's pretty funny that they make it that obvious, but people just forget about this stuff, and people don't look into this kind of stuff, and they don't really realize that at the end of the quarter, it hardly ever is at the lows. It's obviously happened sometime, like you probably go back to, let's go to the one before that. I'm kind of curious now. So December, all right, end of September. Okay, there's one instance where it was kind of at the lows. One instance right there, 355, it was at the lows. Okay. But then June, I guess kind of at the lows there too. So this is one instance, but most of the time it's usually at the highs or close to the highs at the end of the quarter. Look at that, March 30th. We bought on March 10th, March 30th at the highs. There's one time, I guess it was at the lows. I guess it doesn't work out every time, but I would say 3 out of 4 times you're going to be at the highs. And when we're around the highs towards the end of the quarter, they're going to do everything they can to prop it up. So my little spiel on end of quarter rebalancing and making their performance look really good for their clients. So I think QQQ can come up here to 493 next week. Meta making a new high. I said it can go up to 579. Not a bad stock to buy, even though it's at the highs. Dollar, still sitting here. I'm still waiting for this to make the final move down, and look how it's sitting here. So I'm expecting this next week. Down to 99.50. Let's see where the 1.61 fib is. 99.94, bounce, 99.50. So the dollar is showing more upside for the market as well. I think that's pretty much it. Let's look at Apple real quick. Okay, Apple is getting close to the highs here. So if it breaks the high here at 232.98, then that means this is not a first wave. That makes that an A wave. But I still think it's going to come down like this. And that probably means that this is the end of the fourth wave. This would be 1, 2, 3. And I think this would be an ABC move. It would go up here to like 250, 260, and that would be it. Because these are all, I guess they're impulse moves. The whole thing is a diagonal though. You can see here this came into the first wave. So yeah, this is likely a first wave, and if this breaks above the high, then that's good news for bulls, because that means the max it can go down to is probably the 0.78 fib around 203. It's probably gonna, it could go down to 203. So you want to see this break the highs next week. So this can end up being a expanded flat instead of coming all the way down here to 192. So the fourth wave is likely done on Apple. I think you're probably looking at something in the future around 260 after this sell-off. All right, what else we got here? The VIX. And the VIX, I've been looking at this weekly demand zone for a while. I wonder if it's going to get down there or not. Technical analysis does not work very well on the VIX, but it's a pretty big zone. You can see here all the support right around this area. If it gets down in this area, then you're going to want to start buying options because it's going to be really cheap to buy options. And that's probably going to be the spot where we bounce out of. Let's see, Lunar, still hanging around the same area. Palantir, not much change. It's a Friday. Everything is just like premium killing. AMD, I have not looked at this in a while. Is it possible that AMD gets up to this gap fill at 175? Yeah, it's definitely possible. That'd be a pretty big move, though. So we'll see what happens with that. It also could be. This is one of the trickier charts, for sure. We know this is not a 5-wave move, but it could be a 5-wave move if it's a diagonal. But then again, if we have a big correction, do you think this is really going to hold 121? Well, if it comes up here, maybe you get something like this. And then just come back down here like that. And then heads up for a third wave. Or it comes up here higher and ends up being a second wave. So it's a very tricky chart right now on AMD. Where's it at compared to the moving averages? I don't know. It's an interesting spot. We're going to see what happens with AMD. I'll update it later. I don't follow it as much as I did when I had a position. So I'll go over it later. And what else are we looking at here? I think that's pretty much it. There's one other I was going to look at. Was it? I can't remember now. Okay, well, I think that's pretty much it. I'll do an update later. Here, let me look at the list real quick. Oh yeah, ENPH. ENPH. So yeah, just sitting here at 114. Yeah, I mean, this is range bound. Buying here is not like a bad thing at all. It's going to go up here eventually. But like figuring out where this is at on the waves is kind of annoying because we have an A wave here, you have A, B. This is what I'm looking for, an impulse move up here to complete the overall B wave. But it doesn't look very impulsive to me, so now I have to look into some other solution. So anyway, this could come down here to 80 bucks during a big correction. But overall, I think that it's likely to just be range bound around here and eventually break out to 175. You got this move down right here. And I think you're going to get at least a move up here to 150, probably somewhere above 200 at some point. So buying here is not a bad thing at all. All right, I think that's it for me. I completely forgot about one stock that I was going to talk about, but I'll figure it out later and put it in the next video. Leave me a comment, like, subscribe for more updates, and I will catch you in the next video.